Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating story. It's one that perfectly blends local folklore, a deep mystery, and, as you'll soon see, a pretty shocking twist of real-world greed. We're looking at the legend of the Sabjapur ghost train. We're going to break down exactly how sheer, unadulterated fear gripped this quiet little village and how a few brave folks used nothing but logic and observation to uncover a pretty startling truth. So, let's dive into this thrilling investigation.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. The Terror of the Ghost Train. Bhutiya train ka khauf. Picture this. The dead silence of Sabjipur village at midnight is suddenly shattered by the booming, totally unnatural sound of a train.
Run! The ghost train has really arrived! That was the terrified cry echoing through the night. I mean, imagine the absolute panic. It spread like wildfire. The villagers huddled together in their homes, genuinely believing a phantom locomotive had actually materialized right there to haunt them. Think about how isolated a rural village feels in the pitch black. The psychological terror of hearing those mechanical noises, seeing eerie, unnatural lights cutting through the dark. It was enough to make anyone abandon reason. Fear literally locked everyone behind closed doors. Nobody dared to step even a foot near those cursed tracks.
Section 2. Search for the mystery. Rahasya ki khoj. Because, well, while most of the village was paralyzed by fear, a small, brave group decided they weren't just going to accept this terrifying ghost story at face value.
And this brilliantly illustrates the strategic detective plan they came up with. These brave villagers didn't just charge in blindly, right? They acted like seasoned investigators who knew you have to fight fear with facts. Step 1, watch closely at night. They set up a stakeout, waiting patiently and quietly in the dark. Step 2, follow the lights. Once that eerie glow showed up, they pushed past their own terror to track it. And Step 3, keep hidden in the jungle. They knew they had to be completely unseen. Stepping carefully over dry leaves, holding their breath, it's honestly a masterclass in on-the-fly, grassroots investigation.
Let's trace their exact movements that night. Hour 1. Those chilling sounds echo through the valley again. Your heart is absolutely pounding. Hour 2. The strange, glowing train creeps toward the edge of the jungle, and you're following it in the pitch black. You're terrified that at any second this apparition might just turn towards you. The suspense is unbearable. Then we hit hour 3, the crucial moment. The phantom train, moving through the deep forest, suddenly screeches to a complete halt. Now, since when do ghosts need to park? That mechanical stop was the first massive clue that something completely ordinary and entirely deceptive was unfolding out there in the woods.
Which leads to a burning question. Is there really a human behind this? Peering through the dense foliage, the brave villagers notice something that changes the whole game. A shadow. Not some wispy, floating spirit, but the distinct, solid silhouette of someone actually operating the train. It suddenly hits them. They aren't hunting a spirit from the afterlife at all. No way. They are hunting a living, breathing person.
Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 3, the truth of Karela Set. Karela Sait Ka Such. The mastermind is revealed as the villagers bravely step out of the shadows, and the terrifying facade crumbles instantly.
So why go through all this trouble? Well, it comes down to the illusion versus the motive. The fake ghost and all those scary noises, that was just a tool. The real, greedy motive, on the other hand, was grabbing the railway land. Enter Karela Seth. He was a wealthy local guy who didn't actually want to haunt anybody. He just wanted to manipulate the real estate market. By creating this terrifying legend, he scared all the locals away from the highly valuable land near the railway line. His ultimate goal? To completely crash the property value so he could swoop in and buy it all up at a massive discount. It was literally a calculated business scam disguised as a supernatural nightmare.
Facing the courageous villagers, Karela Seth had absolutely no choice but to lay it all out. He confessed to creating the fake train from scratch, rigging up props and lights in the dark. He admitted his sole purpose was to scare everyone away so he could buy up the land for his own profit. But you know, his elaborate plan had one fatal flaw. He vastly underestimated the intelligence and bravery of his neighbors. Caught red-handed by people who valued truth over rumors, his grand supernatural scheme was exposed for what it was, a cheap real estate scam. Completely humiliated, he actually had to beg for forgiveness from the very community he tried to exploit.
Section 4. The real moral of the story. Kahani ki asli seek. Because the aftermath of this confrontation completely transformed the village.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it redefines courage, facing situations with truth and investigation rather than giving in to fear and deception. Seth completely banked on the assumption that fear would override logic. He figured everyone would just run away. But the heroes of Sabjapur proved that courage isn't the absence of fear, right? It's the willingness to pursue the truth even when your knees are literally shaking in a dark jungle. By investigating the unknown, they reclaimed their power. And in a really beautiful twist, the village took back that haunted space and transformed it into a safe, joyful playground for their kids. The darkness literally gave way to light.
So the crucial point is that truth always triumphs over fear and greed. Sachai ki jeet hamesha hoti hai. This ghost train story reminds us that fear is often just a huge shadow cast by something incredibly small and ordinary. When we let fear dictate our actions, we're basically handing our power over to anyone who wants to manipulate us. But when we arm ourselves with curiosity, no deception can stand. So I'll leave you with this. The next time you encounter a ghost in your own life, maybe a rumor, a sudden panic, an unknown threat, will you run away in the dark? Or will you be the one to step forward, shine a light, and uncover what's really driving the train?